everybody, here's the captain from trafficpartner.com, and today I'm with the legend, host with the most, Brad Mitchell from MojoHost from United States. Make some noise for Brad! Woo.
Hey, Andy,
Brad, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Very happy to be seeing you today.
Yeah, well, I think now in these times, we have quite more times for this because normally we always travel and are on shows. So now we are here and have time to talk to our business partners and friends. And today I wanted to talk with you about hosting because you're the king of hosting. You won the most awards in our industry, all for hosting. So yeah, hosting is very interesting for beginners and also for professionals. So Brad, tell us a little bit how you came into the hosting business.
Sure. So, boy, it's 2020. So just about 21 years ago, I quit my day job and bought some websites and ventured into the unknown with adult entertainment sites. And then it was very soon into my journey there that I had my own server and I had space in a data center. And as I started to meet people, I started hosting some other people that needed hosting because I had extra space and power in a data center. And then a couple of years into my experience there, one of my affiliates for an affiliate program that I owned had suggested that I actually go to try and sell some more hosting. So we partnered up, and he was more technical than myself. And so that's really when MojoHost got officially started, was in 2002.
How did you find the name Mojo?
Here's a funny, I think it's a pretty funny story. So what actually happened was when I first started, I had, as I said, pay sites and some other adult oriented businesses. And originally in the very, very beginning, the hosting name wasn't MojoHost, it was SynHost. As I had some other like Syn, it was sort of like the brand that I was trying to create. I had SynBucks for an affiliate program and Syn content for leased galleries and some other different items that started with that. And then, so that was in 2002. And then in 2003, as I started to get more customers, like, man, that was a really stupid choice. I was really stupid. So I remember I was, of course, brainstorming for domain names. And then one of the tools that I used to use back then was searching deleted domains that other people had registered and used and then let expire. And so it was in some query of thousands of names that I was searching through, I saw MojoHost. And, at that time, I think Austin Powers 2 was maybe in movie theaters or was recently out. So I thought, MojoHost, well, yeah, I like that. And I thought, oh, I could maybe, if I had some brilliant people in marketing, they could make me a great website. It could be fun and sexy and very relevant. So
it's sexy, especially your new swag with "That's Good Mojo." I love it. It's something that everybody can remember, and the swag look awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't believe how many years it took me to figure that one out, and I can't even take the credit. It was actually Jay Van Ginneken at Life Candy, Jay from the owner of Juicy Ads, that we worked together. His Life Candy company does PR and marketing, and so I've been working with him now for, this will be our third year, where he's been his company has been consulting to us and helping with the imaging of the website online, our digital marketing, our print marketing, our swag, our trade show plans and presence. So Jay came up with that, and when he did, I was like, oh man, now I have to hire you because it was such a great idea. So we've had a lot of fun with that, and I think it's been good for marketing and fun, of course, but it's also been really great inside the company because it's just part of our culture now. So,
okay.
I think
then I have a wish. Make me a black hoodie with the Good Mojo logo on it, and I need it in XXX. For the next show.
Next time I make up some swag and we know that we're traveling, we're going to meet somewhere, I will have that on my list, Andy.
Okay, perfect. So coming to hosting business, as I was a webmaster and the same time when you started hosting, and it was difficult to get hosting for adult sites. And nowadays we are in 2020. So imagine I'm a small webmaster or beginner. I have perhaps like 5-6 blogs. What do you suggest for a good beginning for starting my hosting with you or in general?
Sure. So I would suggest a small VPS, a virtual private server plan. So with hosting, you know, of course, you can imagine servers in a data center, but when somebody's just starting off, they don't need quite the resources for CPU and RAM and storage. So what we can provide for someone that's new that I think is just the right size would be a VPS plan, which gives them like a percentage of a server that's online. They get dedicated the amount of RAM and storage, and then they share an amount of the dedicated CPU resources. And so somebody can really get started for you know, $20, $30, $50 a month in that range.
Mm-hmm.
And the nice thing is when somebody picks MojoHost, we're absolutely expert with our support teams. So no matter where you're coming from experience-wise, we can really meet the client and help to explain and teach them and guide them in the right ways to be more efficient with how much they're spending for what they're getting, and then also just to make better choices with their software.
Yeah, that's especially when you have newbies. If you don't help them, they mostly fail in the beginning,
Yeah.
and you lose the customer. So it's good to invest some knowledge in them. Yeah.
Yeah, and we, you know, I think it fits well with the good Mojo. You know, I'm always saying to our staff, because most hosting companies, you know, they're happy to just sell you more of everything and things that they don't need. And what I really want to see is I want longevity with my clients. So we can put somebody into something that's a good value, that's exactly what they need, and try to stretch every bit of value out of it before they need to upgrade or buy something different. I think that that's really the best course because it supports them for their long-term business.
Okay. So, and if it comes to bigger companies, I know trafficpartner is working with you also. And is there a difference which data center I pick for? I know you have one in Florida and you have one in Amsterdam. And do you have also one in Ukraine now?
I don't. So I have one in Miami in Florida. So it's a really a flagship data center. It's the site that connects everything south of North America. So all of the fiber going to Central America, to the Caribbean, to South America travels through this Miami site. So it makes it a great place to get on the internet and connect to more than 100 phone companies. Okay. So that's where we have most of our servers. And then today also we are building a brand new data center in the Midwest in Michigan. So it's a very complex construction project, but I'm spending millions of dollars to build my own site here in the Detroit metropolitan area. So I'm very excited about that. So eventually part of my roadmap is that most of MojoHost service in North America will be provided from our Detroit site, probably as we get into 2022, 2023. But then also we have the site in Netherlands. And I guess what I would suggest is somebody should pick their primary hosting location based predominantly on where their users are. So
for European clients, Amsterdam would be the choice. And if you're North or South America, Florida or Michigan would be the choice.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. And you know, I'm not so technical. A lot of people always talk about this CDN servers, and for bigger companies, what really means this, and what's about the speed of delivering? As you as an expert for hosting, can you explain a little bit about this technology behind to deliver content fast?
Yeah, absolutely. So at MojoHost, we're always really focused on creating high performance solutions for our customers. And what CDN stands for is Content Delivery Network. And the cool thing today is you don't have to be a really big company to get the benefit and to use CDN to speed up your websites. You can be a really small client too. So the general theory or the general best way to understand this is that usually, most of the time, the closer the files are hosted to where your server is, the faster that they will load. That's really all you need to know. Okay. So when you have a hosting plan, that means there's a server sitting in one place in the physical world. When you have a hosting site and you're using a CDN with your website hosting, then what's happening is copies of your files are being cached in different data centers around the world relative to where your servers are. So if your server is in Miami, but you've got tons of traffic in Europe or in California or really anywhere else in the world, then copies of those videos and image files are being moved over and stored in those other data centers to make for a better delivery to your end server.
Okay. So it's like splitting the data all over the world that the customer have faster access.
Yeah, and in the old days, CDN was a lot more expensive service to provide. Today, not so much. So we've tried to make it really simple so that anyone with any size business, even someone spending tens of dollars a month with us, can add a CDN plan and just pay on usage. So we have a good everyday rate, and they can pay, you know, a penny per gigabyte for data transfer. So
a penny for every dollar. Good. Then one thematic I always hear from my webmasters is about IPs, and it's especially for SEO. If you have a lot of websites, it's that they're on different service hostings, and that they have different IP ranges, so that Google don't detect some kind of link farm. So IPs are limited, right?
They are. So I think most people are at least a little bit familiar with what is an IP address. You know, it's like your address on the internet. So if you imagine like a home address that's unique and there's only one of those in the world, that's much like an IP address, which is split into a whole bunch of numbers with some periods in between. So there's, I don't know what the count is. Is it 3, 6, 9, 12? 12 is 12 like a billion. At any rate, there's a lot, but they're exhausted. So the phone networks all over the world, going back to the beginning of the internet, internet service providers would apply to receive IP addresses and get very large blocks of these numbers. And so what's happened is because the initial design, because of the growth on the internet, the initial design doesn't accommodate now for how many connected devices we have, because now, you know, everything's connected. Your watch is connected, your phone is connected, your computer's connected, and so, you know, everything all over the place. And so it's just impossible to give everything its own unique number. So the long-term solution to this is what is called IPv6, which is a different scheme that involves numbering of letters and numbers. And when you start to multiply that out into all of the different combinations, it becomes, you know, billions of possible addresses. So, but the world isn't fully on IPv6 yet. So the traditional, most of the surfing, a lot of it is done on IPv4 addresses because there's 4 octets of numbers. And so at MojoHost, for example, we have, my US hosting company has about 90,000 IP addresses. And my Dutch hosting company has about 10,000 IP addresses. And so when customers come to us, they are assigned their own unique IP addresses that are justified by their usage. So, you know, if someone has one or a few domains, they just get a few IP addresses. If somebody has a bigger use case, then we can assign them more IP addresses. As for assigning lots of IPs to help someone with what I guess they might consider to be a search engine strategy, we evaluate those types of opportunities on a case-by-case basis. So we can choose to do that. I would say we choose not to provide such IP addressing for people that are doing email, but for, you know, for legitimate business purpose, for websites, and we're very protective of our IP space because it has a long-term value, right? So the IP addresses that I own right now are worth about $2 million, but they're worth less if I give them out to people that have used them in the wrong ways. So we're particular because there are some requirements in how we assign them. But to make a long story short, we can support marketers with some of their creative and interesting needs, but those are things that are done in conversation, not in my shopping cart. So you'd have to reach out to sales at MojoHost to really discuss that more in depth.
Of course, you don't want that people burn your IP addresses
right.
with spamming and cloaking.
And that makes for an interesting topic with hosting too, because what can affect the success of websites sometimes is your neighbors.
Yeah.
So people either on that same server, so like if you're on a shared server or you're on a network, because there's always a lot of hosting options and there's always cheaper hosting. But a lot of times you can be very much affected by the people that have hosting around you. If you have people doing bad things and maybe they're getting attacked a lot, then that will affect the performance of your website. if your neighbors, if neighbor websites and the IP addresses around you are spammy or doing bad things or have malware or send bad email, that can also affect your email delivery and your SEO, stuff like that. So at Mojo, we're just very proud to have a good neighborhood of clients.
Like in real life, like in real life.
Yeah, just like in real life.
Neighborhood, prices go down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, normally you and me, we see us in like 20 shows a year. Now because of the COVID-19, we don't see us so much. But anyways, I want to know about the shows. Tell me your 3 favorite shows you do normally without the pandemic. Which are the 3 famous shows for you?
Well, so I would say, I think XBiz in Los Angeles, I always enjoyed this show. As far as how North America comes together, I think that venue in California is super relevant because a lot of production is still done in Los Angeles, and it's always been one of my home shows that I've been doing this now for 20 years, so it's always good to go out there, and they always throw such a fantastic XBiz award show.
Greetings also, to the Helmy brothers.
yeah, Alec and Mo, they do such a good job. Walter and Andreas, the European Summit in both formats for Portugal and for Prague. Yeah. I think that they've done a tremendous job over the years catering to people like us that are sponsors to make sure that we get good value, to create a venue where we can come together and network and give good value to the attendees. Those are definitely my favorite shows. But I'm like you, I like traveling. So, give me a chance to go to Thailand, Vietnam, Ireland, Curacao. Someone make a show anywhere, I'm going to go anyways. So.
And I know you like the Colombian show also.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure. I would say, I've been really impressed with what what Anthony's done with the LAL Expo show. I think it's been top notch. And what I think, maybe I've been to 5 of them. Very impressive, especially to be doing that in an emerging market and to really put a classy show on with lots of good education, to see him do that in what I think is a more challenging environment down there and do it at such a high caliber with respect for all of the attendees, everything including dress code, very top notch.
Especially the education part. I remember this year in February, I had on the 3rd day a seminar at 10 in the morning, and I was expecting, like on the other shows, on the 3rd day at 10 o'clock in the morning, you have some survivors there, but nobody. And I came in 10 o'clock in the morning, and the room was full, and people had paper and pens to note down, and the hunger of education, and this is very high in Colombia. So greetings to Colombia. Keep on rocking, and as soon as we can, we are back.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Then, Brad, you moved in a nice country house somewhere on a lake in the forest. You see the fox and the rabbit saying goodnight to each other. Tell us a bit about country life.
So I live in Southeast Michigan. I live in a suburb of Detroit. So I'm actually, believe it or not, I am just 9 miles north of 8 Mile Road. So I love Michigan. I'm born and raised here. It's a great place to live. Detroit, we build things. It's a good city. We got good people. The suburbs are also very nice. And it's unusual because where I'm at, I am only like 2 minutes, 3 minutes by car to get to a Starbucks or the grocery store. But if I took a picture from my backyard, it does look a little bit like I am in the middle of nowhere because it's just trees and a small lake, but it's relaxing. I've always wanted a water view. I get a water view most of the time when we're traveling. And so I was having this moment a couple of years ago where I said, I think it's time to buy a house that can stare at some water. So,
well, I remember last year I was in New York. I wanted to visit you and you say, hey, don't come. It's too boring for you.
For as much as we're social animals when we travel, my social life here is very small. Like if you said, Bradley, hey, let's go out to a fun pub out, I'd have to ask people where to go. I barely even know around here. I'm a pretty boring guy.
Well, that's the point. Normally, we are like 100 days a year or 120 days a year on travel. So we have enough party when we go out.
But you travel. So I think you travel more than anybody. My travel, I was trying to count, maybe lying to myself a little bit. Usually for me was like 60 days, 65 days, maybe 12, 15 trips.
Well, last year I was 140 days on travel.
That's a lot.
Yeah. But there was also vacation included, no? Not only.
So how is your health in the absence of all this travel?
Well, now I'm getting better because since Corona, in the first weeks after Corona started, I got a little bit depression, like because my show to Kiev, to Moscow, to Tel Aviv, everything was canceled, and I said, fucking government, fucking pandemic, everything was fuck. And yeah, then I decided, okay, let's check out my neighborhood, and I live here in Bremen in the north of Germany. So I went to all the lakes here. I have the North Sea, the Baltic Sea. So, and then I discovered, man, you live in a nice place, and you forgot because you're always traveling to this nice exotic places, but it was also good weather in April, May, June, July. We had nice weather here. And then I started to walk more. I went more swimming. I lost more than 20 kilos in the last 6 months. So now I'm good and I'm healthy. So I'm ready for the next shows coming up. And I will make some noise.
I can't wait to see you sometime soon. I've been working out too. I've been working out 3 times a week now, solid since March. there's nothing else to do. So
I saw you travel. You traveled to Kiev and Odessa and during the pandemic from Chicago. So I was really surprised that it was possible.
So there was a moment there, and I think that the borders are opened back up again, but with some specific requirements, I was able to travel to Ukraine. So it just required taking a test upon arrival and then downloading an app and committing to a quarantine location in case it was positive. So yeah, I was excited. We opened a new office in Zaporozhye, Ukraine, and a new physical office, and I wanted to go out and see this new office and help shop for it. And really, I tried to get back over there to see my team as often as possible, but obviously this year has been a real challenge. So at the first opportunity I had to get out and go there, I was.
Yeah, normally I go to Kiev quite like 4 or 5 times a year. From Hamburg, it's a 2 hours flight. And Kiev is, besides that's a beautiful city, it's also a hotspot for business in Eastern Europe.
Sure.
So, and people are very high education, a lot good developers, good sales guys, good companies. And yeah, it's definitely a place to go. And this summer I went to Ibiza in Spain. And exactly the day when I flew over, the German government declared Spain as a high-risk country. So, but I was already in the plane. I said, okay, come on, I do my vacations. And when I came back, I did my first Corona test. So I was negative, and yeah, life goes on. We cannot let us get down from a pandemic. And yeah, someday it will be over with this pandemic, and then we all travel again, see us again, and have fun together. So Brad, thank you for your time. The last words, or your last words to the audience of the Captain's Business Lounge, what do you want to say?
That's good, Mojo. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah. Love you.
Love you too, buddy.
That was Brad Mitchell from MojoHost, the legend, host with the most. Check it out on mojohost.com. Best quality in survey hosting, CDN, whatever you need. Brad will help you and the whole team with Natalie and many others in different offices around the world. And you watch the Captain's Interview Lounge, sponsored by trafficpartner.com with the Captain. See you soon. Check out my channel on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, and have fun. Goodbye. Ahoy.